Declan Marsden coming down the home straight here. We're hoping for a good result for the blue team. I know, like you said, with Slipstream, we may see some team efforts, maybe even by opposing teams to make sure that they can keep up with those guys in front of them. So some long straights here at Road America and some big break zones to try to capitalize on the difference in speed at the end.
Yep, Canada corner there, one of the heaviest braking zones on the lap and probably the most significant of all. Sammy Hendricks, meanwhile, looking to break further into the top 5 here and find his way out of the final corner there. Another curb on the exit where you really have to maximize the whole thing to get a great run out of the corner. And to the line they will come. And Sammy Hendricks sets a 159.1 there, so not quite up to scratch for improving on his time, but he has time to get another lap on the board if he commits to that. Prechuk, meanwhile, still sitting last of the drivers that have set a time. The only driver who we are expecting to set a time but hasn't is John Morandini, who's been trying to set laps basically all session long, but has not been able to get to the line in time to start one. Jeremy Childers improves to 8, and there goes Prechuk up to 12th, down to a 159.2. Solid improvement.
Looks like we don't have too much time separating the grid as every week, just about a second between a lot of them. But Prechuk, you know, maybe still learning the track a little bit, trying to find his groove here. He showed some good pace last week, so I think the amount of time they're on track, he has plenty of time to get up to speed, and I expect him to be putting down some quicker times later this afternoon.
Okie dokes. So we are now in the final stretch of this qualifying session, and looking for further improvements from Garrett Lund, who currently sits on a 158.6. No one's been able to get much closer to Vijay Rajasekharan, though Bent Belson did improve to within just about 100th of a second. We'll see what Lund is going to be able to do here. We do welcome you all to both the Pit Road Productions and Swelio Almeida streams. We did have some network troubles at the start of the stream, so we have had to restart them. We do apologize for that slight hiccup, but we should be good for the racing to come. Lund abandoning that final lap, getting into the pits, and they will have to practice those pit stops. They're going to have to make at least one tonight. So see what VJ can do here. See if he can improve on that pole position up to max speed.
Talk to us a little bit, Reese, about the tire strategy for these guys with a pit stop involved today. I know that the tire changing is a little bit quicker in these cars than some other cars on the service, and how do you feel about maybe trying to find that 1 or 2 tires to take?
Well, it's a bit of a difficult question because Formula 3, as far as I'm aware, doesn't have much in the way of tire degradation. Over a 40-minute race, though, it's probably worth changing tires. Road America doesn't have many proper corners, but very heavy braking zones, and there's a couple of high-load, high-speed corners around the lap. So I think it's going to be more about keeping your tire temperatures down rather than trying to preserve their life, so to speak. I suppose we'll find out for sure once we get into the feature, but first, it is the heat race. Vijay Rajasekharan has qualified on pole position with Leon Bentvelsen in second place. Declan Marsden and Garrett Lund on row 2. Sammy Hendricks and Cairo Enns 5th and 6th. Collier and Branson Hung will start on row 4 with Jeremy Childers and John Morandini rounding out your top 10. Martin Visser and Jan Janchik in the 6th row. Behind them, we have Mikhail Prechuk and Andrew Calabrese. Brian Lenzi, the last driver to set a qualifying time. Connor Bell and Brian Lockwood are our coaches, starting from the back of the field. Let's see how far up they can get. By the end of 15 minutes to come, a standing start. It's a long run to turn 1 here at Road America, Morgan. So if you mess up that start, you're going to be going backwards quickly.
You got it, Reese. And getting a good exit out of turn 1 going downhill into turn 2 is also extremely important. So we'll see how these guys want to sort themselves out, whether they prefer the inside or the outside, or how hard they're going to fight to turn 1 to make sure that they get a good jump on this race.
Indeed. Question in Swelio's broadcast chat, what the fastest class of racing in iRacing is. Yes, the Formula One Mercedes F1 cars are the quickest, but there's also the Nissan GTP ZX Turbo, sort of Group C GTP style car from the 80s. That thing is glued to the track and has a crazy amount of power. It's probably the closest you'll be able to get to F1 level speeds without actually being in an F1 car. Well, regardless, getting down 2-0 for the grid time, and the lights are about to go up. Revs rising here. Vijay Rajasekaran on pole. Green flag flies, and we are away. That is a solid start from Declan Marsden out of third, but it seems like the second phase is not going entirely his way. Garrett Lund still alongside him on the way into turn one. The lead, meanwhile, Vijay Rajasekaran easily in the lead versus Leon Benfelsen as they fan out through turn one. Slight off-track moment for Garrett Lund. He is now under pressure from Cairo Enns, who tips him around. Oh dear, that's created a big pile up. Few cars off out of that one. Looks like Jeremy Childers, John Morandini, Enns, of course, Garrett Lund and Branson Hung also involved in that one. That's a big incident for the start of the race.
Yeah, it looks like turn three causing some issues. They were all going too wide through turn one as well, so they got lucky on the first one and unfortunately couldn't sort themselves out for turn three, and we had some minor contact that turned into a big result for a few drivers.
Not ideal. Simon Collier has already retired from the race as a result of that one. Jeremy Childers is still going around, missing a rear wing, and it is on, meanwhile, for fifth place. Looks like Yan Cheek tried to have a go around the outside, but unfortunately got squeezed. And so now he's up against Brian Lockwood, who goes around the outside. Coming into the carousel, this never-ending right-hander. Yan Cheek with a little bit of understeer on the way through the corner. Now he's going to fall under yet more pressure from Brian Lindsay, but crucially stays ahead just in time for the kink. This flat-out corner in these cars may be suffering from a bit of aero instability following so close behind other cars. Lindsay trying and trying further into Canada corner. Big racing here towards the back of the battle for the top 10. Yanchik holds strong around the outside. Nice racing there, but still hasn't quite shaken Brian Lindsay. Just a little bit of contact there through Bill Mitchell Bend, and Lindsay has to take to the track. Take to the runoff area, sorry.
We have quite a few guys climbing right through the ranks early on in this race, and good battles from the start to the back of the grid. So we're back on board here with P1 with Rajasekaran going down the main straight, about to hit the brake zone for turn one.
Solid top four breakaway. Declan Marsden and Sammy Hendricks in tow of our top two. And diving into what officially is called turn three. Road America, like many circuits in the United States, has its turn numbers defined by marshal posts. So what they're going through right now is technically turn 4, and then down here, this heavy braking zone is turn 5, all the way across the curb on the way in. Look at that. That just goes to show how far ahead the top 4 has gotten already. It's a gap of about 4.8 seconds back to Connor Bell, who leads that battle for 5th.
This front 4 is definitely pulling away a little bit here as they enter turn 7 and 8. These guys are close behind though, and with the slipstream and the pit fuel needing to be had, I do think there is some opportunity still left in the race, and you never know when small incidents can pop up for some of these drivers, so it's important to keep pressing and try to make the most of any opportunities that do arise.
Especially in a race that's only 15 minutes long. Judging from my personal timing, we're going to have 6 laps to go when they cross the line next. And briefly on board with Brian Lockwood as he chases down Andrew Calabrese for 7th place. Great speed being carried there, as I think that was Yanchik that just went off there at the kink. Fortunately, managed to keep the car straight and stay out of the wall. But for the moment, having to settle for 12th place. There was another little change for position up ahead as well. Childers has made it back to the pits and is trying to get a new rear wing on that car. There's alongside for 2nd place is Declan Marsden. Leon Benfelsen now has to leave the inside open on the way into turn 1.
Road America can be seen as a little bit liberal with the off track. So just because we see some grass flying today from these guys doesn't mean they're racking up those points. And you don't necessarily lose too much speed just dipping a tire in the grass here and there. So these guys are going to get away with as much as they can today, I think.
And they only just left enough room for each other, did Ben Velzen and Marsden. That's allowed Rajasekaran to break away. And Sammy Hendricks takes advantage of the side-by-side to put himself into third. Now, one thing that we have noticed, Morgan, throughout this series is once the leader gets away, it's incredibly hard to catch him. These Formula 3 cars, they race well, but if you're stuck behind someone, there's basically no chance of catching up to the car in front. And if you're in front, you've got all that fresh air washing over your front wing and giving you all the downforce in the world.
Absolutely, Reese. For me personally, it's definitely nice to drive these cars without too much pressure around you. It's nice to have clean air, as you said, and not only that, but not feel big pressure going into brake zones and your turn in for some of these larger corners on Road America. So I'm sure Rajasekaran's enjoying his lead out front, but it looks like Ben Velzen is starting to draw a small gap here from Sammy Hendricks and press forward.
Yeah, Sammy sort of hitting a metaphorical brick wall for the moment. Ben Velzen has proven to be a force to be reckoned with in these Dallara F3 cars. Rajasekaran, one of the more successful drivers over the course of the whole season, though, and it looks like he's on his way to potentially racking up another victory. For now, though, exit of the final corner, Sammy Hendricks in tow of Leon Ben Velzen. The slipstream gets picked up. He might be able to draw alongside on the way into turn one. He is going to do it as they cross the line to make it 5 laps to go, and looks like he's ahead on the way into the braking zone. How hard does Ben Velzen fight this? Quite hard. Stays alongside at the apex and forces Hendricks to take a narrower line out of the corner. But how hard do you want to fight this? How long do you want to keep this side-by-side going? Obviously, Hendricks gets the advantage at turn 3, but it seems that they've cost themselves a bit more time to Rajasekaran, and Ben Velzen has cost himself a spot on the podium there with that poor exit.
Looks like Declan Marsden was able to capitalize there as well, but Ben Velzen going to challenge them both into the brake zone.
And off goes Sammy Hendricks, just about. Slight tap from Ben Velzen in turn 5. So Leon might be feeling a bit sheepish about that one. Connor Bell suddenly finds himself in touch with the top 4 positions. He's been steadily marching his way forward from the start of the race, and now right on the back of the novice coach, Sammy Hendricks.
I don't believe, Reese, that I had any of these gold cars out last week. Can you tell us a little bit about the color difference with the gold teams and the normal color teams, the blue, green, and red?
If a car is gold, it's driven by a coach. That's basically all you need to know.
It doesn't look like these guys are messing around. They want to let their drivers know that they're here to compete today.
Indeed, and well, Connor Bell passes Sammy Hendricks. Yeah, Bell, Lockwood, and many others are part of the coaching team at the Almeida Racing Academy. And as part of the challenge of these Almeida Racing League events, they race amongst you. And it gives you a good chance to practice your wheel-to-wheel racecraft against an experienced and fast driver. Exchange for position between John Morandini and Martin Visser there. Visser trying to make some kind of recovery from the shenanigans on the first lap. I believe he was one of the drivers who had to make their way through that melee, but Morandini gets ahead down the start-finish straight and going to try around the outside of turn 1. Doesn't quite work though, and Visser will stay ahead for the time being, just catching the grass on the way into turn 3 there. That did help rotate the car though. Back up to Ben Velzen and Marsden meanwhile. This battle for second is far from over, and now they're going to have Connor Bell breathing down their necks there in the background.
Connor Bell with the fastest lap of the session so far, and as these guys in positions 2 and 3, Ben Velzen and Marsden, continue to fight, Rajasekaran is going to continue to enjoy his clean air up front and not to feel any pressure from the guys behind him as they start to slow each other down in these side-by-side battles.
Yeah, so I think the focus now, with still 5 minutes and 50 seconds left in the race, is for Ben Velzen and Marsden to try and leave each other alone a little and maximize their pace, because Vijay Rajasekaran has kept the gap nice and stable at about 2.2 seconds or so. It seems that he is beyond catching at the moment. But comparing the lap times, well, Connor Bell, a 158.2 on the last lap. That is the fastest lap of the race so far. Everyone around him has been doing 159s. Basically, the only other drivers in the 58s on the last lap were Almeida Racing Academy, Brian Lockwood, the other coach in the session, and also John Morandini, curiously. He obviously caught some slipstream on the previous lap. Andrew Calabrese also dipping into the 158s in 8th place.
Looks like Connor Bell is still making up ground to 4th place here, looking to, to 3rd place, Declan Marsden. I do expect him to, in the last couple laps, actually close into that slipstream, so we'll see if he can make a move and apply a little bit of pressure to these guys. Let them know early in the day that it's going to be a long afternoon driving these coaches.
Yeah, indeed. Long 40-minute race coming up after this one. So now the battle from 2nd through to 5th, all within 1 second of each other. A little bit of grass being thrown up there, I think, by our leader as he's maximizing every inch of this racetrack. Ben Belzen has to keep an eye on his mirrors. Breathing down his neck now is Declan Marsden. And while we're keeping an eye on these guys, I just remembered a little tidbit about these F3 cars that was brought to my attention by David Haynes, one of the many co-commentators I've worked with over the years. We did an F3 league some years back, and he pointed out to me that because of the air intake on the left-hand side of the car, the mirrors are actually at different heights. Once I noticed that, I couldn't unsee it.
That is new to me as well, Reese, but that is kind of exciting to know, actually. Moving forward, maybe you can start to utilize that as you start to perfect the craft a little bit. Looks like the left side is a little bit higher than the right.
Yeah, so you can actually see over that big honking air intake that these F3 cars have. Well, 3 minutes to go and about 2 laps. And leader's coming up to the start-finish line, but he is all on his own. It's all about the battle for 2nd back here. And Leon Bentvelsen is doing a bang-up job of keeping Declan Marsden behind him, but is having to break the draft here. Looks like he's actually lost out a bit there on the start-finish straight. That'll allow Marsden alongside. Sammy Hendricks and Connor Bell exchanging spots behind them. Looks like 2 lots of side-by-side here, so that's not ideal for Bell and Hendricks. They could have gained a bit more on Marsden and Bentvelsen, but, well, I suppose it all works out fine in the end, because they are right on the back of them now.
Looks like Sammy Hendricks is not going to let Connor Bell get away easy. Definitely used the slipstream on the front straight to pull up alongside of him, but managed to choose safety and back off a little bit through 1 and 3 and let Sammy Bell keep pressing forward. And I think Sammy Hendricks is going to continue to enjoy the battles ahead of him here as he starts to close up on this group of 3 other drivers.
That was a great defense from Leon Bentvelsen there. Able to keep the inside for turn 5, and that's pushed him and Marsden back into the clutches of Connor Bell. And oh, that's a bit deep there for Declan Marsden. Almost went into the back of Leon. Leon's family in the chat as per normal. And I think they might be having a few mini heart attacks at this one. Bentvelsen is running strong in 2nd place, but now he's going to have 3 drivers attacking him for that coveted position. Picking up the slipstream is Declan Marsden, and it could be a move at Canada Corner. Oh, probably not from Marsden. How about Connor Bell, who draws alongside, and he's going to try and get Bentvelsen at Canada Corner as well. My goodness, wheel to wheel on the way out of the corner, and Leon keeps the position through Bill Mitchell Bend.
These guys having some absolutely exciting racing wheel to wheel. I wouldn't be able to keep the car safe like these guys, so I think the I rating of this lobby speaks for itself. These guys absolutely know how to wheel and deal in these cars, and they're letting it shine in the first 15 minutes here.
Yeah, I certainly do. Noticing that, yeah, Cairo Ends is certainly a bit slow out there, still dealing with some damage from earlier on as Bell finally gets back alongside Bentvelsen and might actually grab this second position now. No, he's going to wait for a better opportunity at turn 5. That's a big part of the skills that you can gain from these coaches, the ability to not go for the move at every corner, but maybe just slip back into the gap, pick up the slipstream down the next long straight and have a clearer shot into the next braking zone. Well, Bentvelsen's wise to it. He goes defensive again, hard on the brakes for all of them. And Bell straightens out the car a bit earlier, gets a nice exit. They almost interlock wheels on the way into turn 6, but just enough room given, and Bell sweeps around the outside of Bentvelsen.
That's a great pass by Bell, and left no opportunity for Declan Marzen in the position behind these two to benefit either. So these two are really holding down this side-by-side racing up here. Bentvelsen seems to take the position back here going into the carousel.
Looks like they're just having fun out here now. The final lap is right now, so it seems we are about to find that checkered flag in the distance. Who's going to finish in second is the question. Vijay Rajasekaran here has dominated proceedings thus far, and he has barely anything to think about as he makes his way up to the final few corners of the lap here. A brilliant drive in the heat. Started from pole and never looked back. Out of the final corner for Vijay Rajasekaran to add another win to his tally here in Season 4 of the Almeida Racing League. Congratulations to Vijay Rajasekaran, but who's going to win the battle for second? It looks like Connor Bell has gotten past Leon Bentvelsen. They're going to draw alongside each other on the start-finish line, but Bell holds on to it. Marsden and Hendricks round out your top 5. John Morandini tries picking up a slipstream off Andrew Calabrese, but it's not quite enough to get past for 7th. Brian Lockwood looks like he might have had a spin on his way to the finish there. A lonely 12th for Brian. And the embattled Cairo Enns, who had a good start out of P6, but has to settle for 13th after getting involved in the massive smash on lap 1 and actually missing the bodywork on the right side of his car. That explains why his pace has been left wanting. Simon Collier did get back out of the pits. Here's a replay of the start here, and keep an eye on Garrett Lund here. See, oh, okay, we're not going to be able to do that because the session just kicked over into the warm-up. Boy, oh boy, what a race indeed, Morgan. I'm looking forward to seeing how race 2 goes.
Absolutely. Looks like in position 1, we had Vijay Rajasekaran, Leon Bentvelsen in P2, followed by Declan Marzen in 3rd. Sammy Hendricks pulling in 4th place with Michael Prechik in 5th place, followed by Andrew Calabrese in 6th. Behind him was John Morandini in 7th place, Martin Visser and Brian Lenz in 8th and 9th. Brandon Hung and Cairo Enns, both part of the incident early in 10th and 11th, followed by Connor Bell and Brian Lockwood, who don't seem to count the same on the grid here with a lap down.
Yeah, that's because they black flagged themselves so that they'll start at the very back for the second race here. Simon Collier got back out on the circuit, but 5 laps down. Childers, Janchik, and Lund, unfortunately, not able to make it to the finish. Hopefully, they'll have better luck in race 2. But before that, we're in warm-up. Time for us to take a breather and for Swelio himself to have a word.
Almeida Racing League is growing fast. Hundreds of drivers, multiple splits, broadcasted races, and it's not just about individual winning, it's a team championship. You race with your own squad, you learn how to compete, and you grow together. And we don't throw you into the races blindly. Every week, we help you prepare with pit parties to train side-by-side battles, workshops with live coaching, 20 driving challenges with full tutorials, and even group raids into official iRacing races after the league night. For just $25 a month, this is the most complete training experience in sim racing. Join us as a member today to start your advanced training and racing with us. I'll see you on track.
Well, we did have some questions about how to get involved with this league, and that is how. Join the Almeida Racing Academy, and you'll gain access to this league, plus a whole host of coaching material to help you get better at sim racing. Just a few minutes to go in the warm-up, and we'll be getting ready for the 40-minute feature here. Once again, running the endurance format for the final round of this Season 4 F3 series. If you're just joining us, I'm Reese Gardner, Morgan Smith alongside me in the comms box on Pit Road Productions. And, well, Morgan, there's a few things that we can learn from that first race. First and foremost to me is be careful in turns 1 and 2. The second of all, make sure that you don't lose the slipstream.
I am kind of eager to see in race 2 some of the decision-making changes these guys might go through where maybe they choose to fight a little bit less side by side and start to enjoy the slipstream, maybe even start to calculate some fuel strategy into the race.
Yeah, speaking of fuel strategy, that's actually something that we should think about. Fuel saving might be a big part of the action here tonight. At least one pit stop will be required to get to the very end of this one. And if you're in the slipstream, you can lift and coast. You can save a bit of fuel. You can minimize the time that you spend in the pits. Less fuel you use in the first stint means less fuel you have to put into the car at the pit stop.
Absolutely. I know with some of the other cars on the service, it's more beneficial to run the car to empty due to the faster lap times. But with these cars, sometimes the tires can warm up a little bit, and the lack of weight can make them a little bit more slidey, for lack of a better word. So I do think there will be some pit strategy. These guys trying to figure out how to keep their car the fastest over the course of 40 minutes.
Yeah, sometimes rear stability is a bit more important than outright pace, depending on what skill set you have and how comfortable you are in the car. Comfort is basically a one-size-fits-all thing in this league because it is fixed setup. The only things that the drivers can really change on the fly are the brake bias. Pretty much everything else remains exactly the same between every single car in the field. So it is all down to the driver and adapting to the car, to the circuit, making sure that you have everything down pat. As we look at the weather conditions for this one, 75 Fahrenheit track temperature. That translates to 37 in Celsius with an air temperature of 24 degrees. Actually, it looks like 98 Fahrenheit is closer to the track temperature there, which is incidentally right on human body temperature. So you lie down on the tarmac, you'll have a nice time.
We did have some beautiful views of Road America from our producer Rob Campbell as well. Some of these American tracks are beautiful with the elevation in the trees, and this one especially, I can think of Watkins Glen, which would look similar on screen to this as well. I do think it lends towards some good spectator viewingship as well.
Yeah, certainly does. Road America, a beautifully historic circuit built in the 1950s and one of the raft of purpose-built sports car circuits that popped up during the 1950s, including Lime Rock Park and Virginia International Raceway, Watkins Glen as well. They're all part of the same sort of generation of racetracks. Well, let's see if there's more history to be made here. The 40-minute feature on the cards, and the grid is headed up by Vijay Rajasekaran, with Leon Bentvelsen joining him on the front row. Declan Marsden and Sammy Hendricks will start on row 2, with Prechuk and Calabrese in 5th and 6th. John Morandini and Martin Visser on row 4. Brian Lenzi and Brandon Hung round out your top 10. Then it's Cairo Enns and the first of our coaches, Connor Bell, on row 6. On row 7, Brian Lockwood starts a little bit further back with Garrett Lund, Yan Cheek, Simon Collier, and Jeremy Childers rounding out the 17 cars to take to the start here. And it looks like we're just about to get going. A very quick gridding time here for the feature race. Lights up, get ready for lights out, and power down as we get going for the feature. And there's been a big crash in the back of the field. Looks like a bad getaway, unfortunately, for Cairo Enns. He has been absolutely swamped, and he is now out of the race here on the first lap. A disaster for Cairo Enns.
Yeah, tough start for Cairo Enns in the back. We'll have to get a replay later on and see what happened to him exactly. But these guys up front off to a great start and seem to have sorted themselves out into single file before turn 3 this time to try to utilize some of that slipstream early on.
Yeah, the coaches are already dicing in between everyone here as they make their way down to turn 5. And look at the slipstream. This is insanity. coming down to turn 5. The door opens to the inside for Connor Bell there as he passes Branson Hung in the green car. Around the outside, side by side between Lindsay and Morandini up ahead. This is all battling for about 7th place on back. Mikhail Prechuk has latched onto the back of the front pack here. And we're already starting to see a gap form as the door opens to the inside again for Connor Bell. There he goes up the inside of Morandini, just pulls it up in time for the apex.
It looks like these two coaches are going to move through the pack quickly here, utilizing the cold tires and their knowledge and their skill set on these cars and the track alike to move through the grid quick before the tires get warm and these other drivers start to get up to speed.
All right, so Rajasekaran remains in the lead versus Leon Benvelsen and goes defensive into Canada corner. This being the very beginning of the race, he knows that he's still vulnerable, so he needs to go defensive wherever he possibly can. And for the moment, he'll keep that lead. But Benvelsen will be right on the attack here. He saw Rajasekaran drive away from him in race 1, and he's hoping that he'll be able to stay in touch this time and be a threat for victory.
Yeah, the more Benvelsen continues to battle Rajasekaran too, it allows Marsden, Calabrese, and Hendricks to kind of stay in the battle behind too. So I'm eager to see how much Benvelsen pushes it, or maybe just lets them both try to break away from the rest of the group.
Yeah, Benvelsen picking up the slipstream and passes Rajasekaran before they get to the braking zone, but VJ fights back through turn 1. We've had 4 cars come into the pits there. Declan Marsden, Sammy Hendricks, Mikhail Prechuk, and Simon Collier, all in the lane. None of them have a black flag to their name from what I can see. So this looks like scheduled pit stops very early on for them. No word on whether Garrett Lund or Brian Lockwood need to come into the pits, because they ended up making contact with Cairo Ends off the start when Cairo, it seems, didn't get the car into gear and didn't go anywhere on the standing start. We'll get a replay of that one for you right now. See Ends here as the revs rise and they get going. Ends, unfortunately, goes absolutely nowhere. Lockwood clips him, and then Garrett Lund gets a big helping of Coach to the right-hand side of his car. So that's all of the drama that we saw at the back at the start. Not as big of a crash as I thought it was initially, but still, it means that Cairo Ends has pulled out of the race very early. Only just got over the start-finish line before he realized he couldn't control the car.
Tough start there for Cairo Ends. I'm excited to see, Reese, the early pit strategy that those 4 early drivers just entered the pits and took last lap. I'm wondering if they're looking at it as a benefit to get into some clean air and get out of these battles, or if they're going to be missing that slipstream as the lap times continue to develop over the course of 40 minutes.
That's a good point you make, actually, about getting out of dirty air. I think that might be what they've decided to do. Marsden, Hendricks, and Prechuk, worth pointing out, they're all Team Blue cars, so there might be a bit of a coordinated effort between those guys to, try and lap with each other, get an advantage, maybe undercut those who have decided to stay out. Brian Lindsay and Branson Hung here fighting over 6th place, and Lindsay overcooks it a little bit into the first turn. It's going to allow Garrett Lund by. Lund, of course, dealing with some minor damage to the right-hand side of his car. And Brian Lindsay is attacking every single braking zone, it seems, maybe a bit too hard this early on.
You got it, Reese. You don't want to push those tires too early here. He's going to need to back off the brakes a little bit, especially if he wants to stop losing spots. Both green cars, Brenton Hung and Garrett Lund, were able to capitalize on those small mistakes, and looks like he's under some more pressure from John Morandini behind us here as we watch from the tail of Garrett Lund.
Indeed. So looks like Lindsay and Morandini have settled down here through the infield section of the circuit, through the hurry downs, on the way down to this tight left-hander, which is a little faster than it looks. I think that's the case actually for a lot of turns around Road America. You try and slow down in time for them, and sometimes it seems that you're just going a bit too slow. This can be a very misleading track at times.
I do agree with that, Reese. It is a little bit difficult to see the exit when you're taking your brake zone and trying to find your turn-in point. So it's important to just get some seat time and get some laps on at Road America so you can start to learn how to use the most of the track. As we said earlier, it is a little bit lenient. Just because these guys are touching dirt doesn't mean they're catching off-track points. So knowing where to push and you know where to brake and turn in on some of these corners is a little bit difficult as you get settled in. But looks like these guys are coming up on pro level here, so no issues today.
Indeed, Road America may look simple enough on a map, but once you get down there on the ground, it's anything but. Our two leaders are weaving and trying to break the draft up the front, but all of that is just playing into the hands of Connor Bell and Andrew Calabrese there, as that was a little bit borderline there from Rajasekaran. Maybe not quite moving under brakes, but still Leon might have been caught out by that one. So they're going to be racing hard all the way to the end here. But how hard they want to race this early on remains to be seen. If I was in their shoes, I'd probably just try to focus on myself, not go for those moves, just stick with them, because Connor Bell has a clear advantage here, leading that chasing pack in third. He has got Andrew Calabrese to deal with, but it seems that he and Lockwood are making short work of getting up to the lead.
Yeah, both Lockwood and Calabrese in great spots right now to follow in Connor Bell's slipstream. I do think Connor will continue to catch these two leaders, especially as they continue to go side by side through some of these corners. I'm hoping to see Calabrese stick to the back under the wing of Bell and move up there with him and try to compete for one of the podium spots.
Yeah, Calabrese having a good run so far, keeping it consistent, and seems quite happy being the filling in a coach sandwich for the moment. Seems that the racing has calmed down a bit at the front. Leon Benvelsen seems content to stick behind Vijay Rajasekaran for the moment at least. Every time they come into Canada corner, I just see a car. Oh, okay, that might change things. Rajasekaran overcooking it there into Canada, and Benvelsen all over the back of him here, has to take to the runoff area. And Rajasekaran is sliding the car all the way through the final turn. Almost faked out going to the pits there. But you can tell that Vijay is starting to crack under pressure potentially. Benvelsen going to draw alongside him again here into the turn one braking zone, and he will be just about ahead when they get to the point where they have to stomp on the anchors. But Rajasekaran will put his nose in at every opportunity, and they'll remain side by side.
Very exciting so far. Benvelsen showing his nose here and there, making Rajasekaran really push his car. We'll see as the tire wear and the fuel goes down who is going to end up front. I know Rajasekaran, if he is in second place, has the pace and the know-how to stay in Benvelsen's slipstream and keep up. So I don't think either of these guys are going to get an easy top spot on the podium today.
Every time Benvelsen gets past Rajasekaran, Vijay just flings it up the inside again, and this time he's overcooked it into turn 5. I think Benvelsen was ready for that. He duly slips back into the lead of the race, and now Connor Bell is right on the back of our top two. Rajasekaran is starting to struggle with the rear of the car, it seems. And, you know, that little off at Canada corner, I think, was just the first sign of that. He's potentially been pushing those rear tires too hard.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the, driving in dirty air versus clean air, but he has definitely been pushing his car in position 1, but now I do think it's Benvelsen's turn, so we'll see if Rajasekaran can apply a little bit of pressure back to Leon and see if we can get Leon's car worn out as well. But Connor Bell looking to capitalize on the battle. He knows both of those guys are pushing. He's been driving in clean air for most of his race so far, so I do think he's in a great spot also to capitalize on some of these battles that these guys are having up front.
Absolutely. Leon Benvelsen won one of the races at his home round at Zandvoort last week, and he's riding that high. He's proven himself to be a tough customer in these F3s. A little bit late turning into the final corner. That almost opened the door for Rajasekaran, but Leon was able to hook up the apex nicely. And across the line they'll come with 30 minutes to go in the race. Vijay Rajasekaran draws alongside again on the way into turn 1, and this time he'll have a clear advantage. He's ahead of Benvelsen and covers him off before they even get to the braking zone. And now it's time to try and get that done all over again. I think Rajasekaran might just try to ease the pressure on those rear tires a little bit, maybe get on the power a little smoother in order to avoid the incident that lost him the lead in the first place.
Looks like Brian Lockwood was able to make it into P4 past Andrew Calabrese too, so Connor Bell may have had a little bit too much speed for Calabrese to stay hooked up to, but we'll see if he can follow Lockwood and you know, try to fight for some spots up here in the top 5 and 6 positions.
Well, Benfield's in a little wide at turn 6. Very easy to make a mistake through that corner. Crests a hill, and the apex itself is blind, but Leon recovers nicely. And Connor behind, having to lift off a bit. And see there already, Rajasekaran. Now that he's gotten back into the lead, he's wasted no time trying to build a gap. 0.7 of a second he has over everyone else. Once it starts getting to about 1 second gap, that's when you have to say goodnight, sweetheart, to your chances for a race win.
Looks like Rajasekaran getting a good exit there to the back straight as well. Ben Velzen not able to make up much time with that 0.7 gap, so Rajasekaran definitely has the gas pedal as far down as possible here, and Connor Bell continues to apply pressure to Ben Velzen and keep him in his mirror. So I do think Rajasekaran has a good opportunity to continue to make that gap larger as we continue with the battle and with Connor Bell, who takes an earlier pit actually.
Yeah, he does. So he joins the roster of drivers that have come into the pits. Actually, a few laps ago, Martin Visser also visited pit lane, and he was in there for 46 seconds. I think he might have sped on the way into the pits. So that's a problem there for Martin. But Connor Bell through the lane, and that promotes Calabrese and Lockwood to battling for 3rd place. One of the things we haven't mentioned yet about Road America, Morgan, is just how long that pit lane is. It has one of the biggest pit lane deltas of every track in iRacing. A super long start-finish straight, a long pit lane where it's only about 72 k's an hour pit speed. So yeah, you got to be careful when you pit, because you could potentially lose a few seconds.
Absolutely, Reese. With the high-speed track, you know, having the guys wide open into the brake zones and able to choose when to lift, maybe to save some fuel, comboed by that longer pit, as you said, it definitely lends towards a few different strategies out here this afternoon. And I think the guys would have needed to practice earlier this week to kind of feel the car out and see what strategy suits them best.
Yeah, if you haven't practiced at least a little, then you're going to be in trouble around here. So Sammy Hendricks now with Declan Marsden, the top 2 of the cars that pitted at the end of the first lap, or second lap. Connor Bell comes out just ahead of them and is very quickly able to get that gap beyond a second. There's been an incident ahead, meanwhile. Branton Hung has fallen behind Brian Lenzie and Jeremy Childers, and it looks like he was dragging a bit of gravel onto the racetrack. That's telling me there was an off for him at Canada Corner. How did this happen for him? Clips the grass on the way into the corner and ends up in the sand pit. Unfortunately, no time to build sand castles there. Has to get back onto the track in short order.
Yeah, and bring some gravel as a gift for the rest of the racers too onto that outside line. So hopefully we'll kick that up and get that out of there soon. But Canada Corner is definitely one of the more challenging brake zones on the track. And as you saw, a little bit of grass here and there can really make the difference. But luckily with the recent iRacing updates in the last 12 months, we do have some new gravel, and it does do pretty well slowing the cars down. So he's able to keep it off the wall and get back on track.
Yeah, for sure. I remember the days before the grass and gravel update that came out. You went into the gravel and it was like you were skating on ice, but now you can really feel the car digging in to the gravel. It does do a good job at slowing you down, but you've also got to be careful not to get beached. That's definitely something that can happen, especially if you spin your wheels up a bit. So Jeremy Childers now with Brian Lenzie. We check back in with our leader. Rajasekaran has put the gap to 1.8 seconds over Leon Bentvelsen. So evidently Leon's had a bit of trouble on the last lap. And I mean, the lap time difference between them on the last lap says it all. 158.37 for Rajaseka, and Bentvelsen over a second slower on the last lap. So something obviously happened to him.
Looks like Bentvelsen was getting progressively slower over the last couple laps. May have gotten in his own head a little bit trying to keep up with Rajaseka, but hopefully he can settle back down and chip away at those lap times.
Yeah, don't forget there is still a pit stop to come for half the field, including these drivers up at the front. None of them going for the lane just yet. Like you mentioned earlier on in the show, Morgan, I think it's a battle of who pitted early and decides to, you know, go with the slightly heavier car at the start of the race versus those who run long and get the car down to low fuel with, you know, light mass and fast lap times. Maybe try and gain some of that time back there. So Jeremy Childers will keep Brian Lindsay very close company here. Jeremy up 11 positions in the race. It's been a solid run for him. And thank goodness he's been able to recover something from the disastrous race one. Childers, one of the cars that was involved in the unfortunate coming together in turn 2 in race 1. But he's converted it now into a solid running position in race 2. Garrett Lund has also had a great bit of success in the second race here. He is up 10 positions, so some good hard charges in this race for the time being. And we are about to reach that coveted halfway point of the race. Now, if these drivers who we've seen not come into the pits in the first half decide to go too far beyond that halfway mark, then we might have to see a little bit of variance in strategy. Meanwhile, Declan Marsden continuing to run behind Sammy Hendricks. And I think these guys that pitted super early, Morgan, I think they're just happy to cruise with each other for now. Try and maximize their pace here. They are running pretty consistently, but not too much faster than those ahead of them.
You know what, Reese? They may have been onto something with the early pit stop. I know it was only a lap or two into the race, but we have 2 minutes to see if these guys can make it to halfway in the race with their fuel. And these guys may have gone out and done the practice and known that they could not. So opted for the early fuel. That's going to get them over the halfway point. And a one-stop shop from here on out for the blue team may end up being 2 stops for the rest of them. So we'll see what their plan was. I'm not sure personally how long these gas tanks last in the F3 cars.
Well, considering how short the pit stop times are, I think it's only a small splash of fuel required and only the single stop needed to get to the end of the race. Morandini now has company. Childers and Lindsay have caught him back up, and that's very far beyond the curb there for Morandini. It does widen up the entry into turn 5 somewhat, but might want to avoid going there too much. Not really the conventional racing line. There's probably a bit less grip available on that one.
Yeah, on board here with John Morandini as we continue through the middle sector of the track. Jeremy Childers in the slipstream. Hopefully both of these guys can keep it consistent. I do think the silver cars look great, but me, myself, Reese, I'm a big fan of red, so I'm excited to see the red and Jeremy Childers with the red wheels as well. So that's one of the better looking cars out there for me today.
Yeah, red ones go faster. Everyone knows that. Childers is certainly fast as he picks up the slipstream off John Morandini and moves past him into Canada corner. Nicely done maneuver there. Now, will Brian Lindsay do the same thing? Morandini, he's had a somewhat consistent night. Qualified 10th for race 1, finished 7th, and now still holding on to 6th. But for the moment, looks like he's going to be fighting again for getting back into the top 5. Or is he bump drafting? He's bump drafting Jeremy Childers. Don't usually do that in an open wheeler.
No, you can get away with it here and there, Reese, but still Brian Lenz able to make up quite a lot of time. Both of the silver cars going a little bit wide there in turn 1. Down to turn 3, looks like Jeremy Childers is going to get a good exit here as well, and we'll see on the brake zone for turn 5 what these two silver cars can do.
Yeah, so they'll have to try and work together here if they want that top 5 position. Morandini, for the moment, not making up too much ground on Jeremy Childers, but in the braking zone, once again, he widens the run into turn 5. We'll see if that gives him any advantage going up the hill. Obviously, cars accelerate slower going uphill, so the more speed you carry out of turn 5, the better. But doesn't seem to have granted him much. Brian Lenz might want to move past him and continue the attack on Childers, but he's backed off a little bit himself. And is that Branton Hum that is starting to creep up on those guys in the green car? It is. This is a four-way battle now.
These drivers out here looking for every opportunity to personalize as much as they can about their situation. Myself as a GT driver, we don't get to see our helmets as much as these F3 drivers do, so it's great to see and get some close-ups of these gentlemen helmets. They all have individual colors out there, except Jeremy Childers, who is maintaining the red is fast motto here.
Yes, indeed. Maybe a little bit too fast into Canada corner. He had to compromise the exit there. And that brings Morandini back into play, but Morandini runs wide at Bill Mitchell Bend. Got to wonder if you... Oh, that's very wide for Lenz in the background, and Childers off in a big way, as is Brian Lenz. Childers is going to come into the pits in response, and so is Lenz. You know, once you make a mistake like that, might as well get into the pits as soon as possible and ease the pain somewhat. What on earth happened to Childers? Was he just too deep? Yeah, way too deep in the braking zone. Carried a good amount of speed past the apex, but the car just understeered off. I think the same happened to Brian.
Yeah, unfortunately, Brian, the recipient of some net code as well as Branton Hung came through there. So looking to get his car repaired as much as possible and get back out on track.
Right, so this is important for the bigger strategy picture. Brian Lenz and Jeremy Childers, they have unfortunately both had super long stops. The stops that we've seen so far running about 4.5 seconds in length. Jeremy Childers was in his box for 14 seconds, and Brian Lenz still hasn't come out of his pit box. He's got a mechanical black flag. And so Brian, I think, is effectively out of this race. He has to get all of those repairs done, and with no fast repairs available, that's going to take some time.
Quite a bit of damage on Brian Lenz there. I am curious about Garrett Lund as well. I know with netcode sometimes it doesn't register on every car, but he seems to be maintaining pace and putting pressure on Calabrese. So looks like Garrett Lund might have gotten away with that netcode incident, and only Brian Lenz is the poor victim of some high ping here and there, which is common in iRacing, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is, unfortunately. Yan Cheek also got a mechanical black flag early on in the race, and he has not been able to get back out there as the Czech driver. Unfortunate for Yan. It would have been nice to see him get to the finish. Gonna see how he got that damage. Running well behind those two Team Silver cars, but it just looks like the rear's locked up for him there. Might have missed the braking point, got into the wall, and that lost the nose of the car. So commiserations, Jan. Unfortunately, not going to have a finish for the end of the season, but maybe next season will bring better fortune.
We have seen a lot of guys get away with some rotations and some mistakes here, but there are a few corners, as you said earlier. Road America is not always as easy as the track map lends it to be, and there are some walls there that can take some names. So unfortunately, a recipient of a nice date with the wall today and a tough end to his season.
Yeah, very tough indeed. Well, Vijay Rajasekaran for the moment is having opposite fortunes. He's looking to cap off his season with a double win, and he's drawn that lead out to over 4 seconds now over Leon Bentvelsen. This is something that I've noticed from Vijay practically all season long. Once he gets into the lead, he just focuses on building that gap. It's just him and the track from that point on. and there's barely anything anyone can do to assuage him of that. He has been nailing every lap here around Road America. Doesn't have the fastest lap, though. That belongs to our coach, Connor Bell, with a 158.1, but a bit too far back for VJ to worry about it all. And another benefit for Rajasekaran is he can effectively choose to pit whenever he likes. He doesn't have to worry about trying to cover anyone off unless something happens on the way into the pit lane.
That is correct, Reese. Looks like the top 6 drivers have continued to push the car down in fuel and wear those tires out. So we'll see if any of them have any special interest in taking the pits here and there in the next few laps. But it's been a good race so far, and Rajasekaran able to capitalize on some of those battles going on behind him and continue to build the lead.
Yeah, good job up the front. Calabrese and Lund, meanwhile, they hold on to second and third, and they're running pretty consistently. Their lap times only 0.03 of a second apart. They're working together well for the moment, and it seems keeping Bentvelsen within their sights there. Leon's the car that you see popping into frame every so often as we focus on these guys. Up in front, and looks like a change for position as Vijay Rajasekaran has spun ahead of these guys. He stopped in the middle of the track out of turn 5. He gets back going, but an error for our race leader has given the lead to Leon Bentvelsen, and the face of the race has changed in the blink of an eye.
Looks like we're coming into a big break zone downhill here. Moves out into the curve to make the most of it. Takes a little bit too much speed there. The rear end wiggles. He tries to make a correction and unfortunately couldn't hang on, and the car went around. Good job to stay on the brakes though and stay out of the other driver's way here as he gets sorted out.
Yeah, it would have been oh so tempting to just kick the car into a flick spin right there and then, but Bentvelsen was coming up on him, and of course Vijay knows that the exit of turn 5 is blind. There's a wall blocking your view, so basically be safe and get going when it's clear. So this has fallen into Leon Bentvelsen's hands here, and well, basically the gap for the lead has stayed essentially the same. It's 4.3 seconds from Bentvelsen to Lund, and all Leon has to do now is execute his pit stop, and he may very well be home free. But how hard will Rajasekaran be wanting to regain that time that he's lost?
Yeah, just based on recent lap times, we have Calabrese and Lund in the green team up there who have not come into the pits yet, and they've been working together for the length of the race. And we also have in the mid-pack in 9th and 10th, Hendricks and Marsden of the blue team who were part of that early pit stop strategy. So I'm excited to see as this green team comes into the pits if the blue team was able to, to find the clean air and drive as a team and put the lap times down needed to capitalize on a good pit strategy.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, Leon Bentvelsen falling behind Connor Bell and Brian Lockwood, who have been driving well, and it looks like Hendricks and Marsden are going to pass Bentvelsen as well. Leon's pit stop was right on the money, actually, compared to everyone else. His lane time, 38.5 seconds, and 5.5 seconds stopped in the box. Actually, one of the slower pit stops we've seen so far, but I guess all it took was that 1 second for his advantage to evaporate, and it looks like the drivers who pitted earlier have the advantage.
Sammy Hendricks and Declan Marsden looks like they'll be coming out in good positions here from their pit strategy, so able to put some good times down and drive as a team. Haven't seen much pressure and much changing back and forth for quite a while with these guys, so they seem to have settled in and likely put the practice in together to make this result happen for their team this week.
So Bell and Lockwood are the effective leaders at the moment if Bentvelsen's pit is anything to go by. Calabrese and Lund, meanwhile, surely they'll be wanting to pit now. It's going to be 5 laps to go when they cross the line next, and it looks like Calabrese's going to come in, but Garrett Lund will stay out, and so will Rajasekaran. So we only have Lund, Morandini, and Branson Hung yet to take their stops. Scratch that. Morandini comes in as well. So it's just Lund, Rajasekaran, and Hung that have yet to make their way into the lane.
Looking at Rajasakaran's position on the racetrack now and knowing his speed, I don't think he's completely out of the race yet. I do think with a good pit, he will be able to come out and still fight for that top 5 spot, hopefully, and get a good result on the weekend here.
So Calabrese and Morandini, their pit stops are complete, and Calabrese had a very long stop, comparatively, 6.9 seconds, and that'll put him out behind Leon Bentvelsen by round about 5 seconds or so. Declan Marsden and Sammy Hendricks, they hold on to what could be an effective podium position. But we still have to wait to see how Rajasekaran does in the pit lane. They don't seem to have pressured each other too much. Marsden seems very happy to follow in the wheel tracks of Hendricks for the time being.
They did exchange positions a couple times early on in the race, but looks like they got themselves sorted out. They may be mic'd up as a team here and communicating together, taking turns saving fuel, or just trying to boost one teammate more than the other with the draft. I know that's definitely a thing where one teammate in the team can kind of set one driver up for success by putting them in the right spot in line.
Unfortunately, we've seen a spin for Andrew Calabrese, fresh out of the pits, and went around out of turn 5. This time it was from running too deep into the corner, got off the exit curb there, and that unsettled the car. So that's lost him a good chunk of time. He now sits 12th overall behind the battle between Pritchuk and Collier by about 5 seconds or so. Vijay Rajasekaran has responded incredibly well to this last sequence of pit stops. He's just taken the fastest lap of the race, 158.053 on the lightest fuel possible, and with barely any slipstream from Garrett Lund. That's incredible pace.
You said it best, Reese. Rajasakaran has continued to press. Maybe has a different strategy than what he's started with the race, having that incident, but he is able to push this low fuel car to some pretty incredible times here and make up some of this ground. I do think it's going to be exciting to watch him come out of the pits.
So looking at making those tracks on Garrett Lund, and look at Simon Collier here, who's right on the back of Mikhail Pritchuk. 10th place for the moment for Pritchuk. And when London Rajasekaran come into the lane, as well as Brandon Hung, might be one better. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But we just dipped inside 7 minutes to go in the final race of this season of the Almeida Racing League. And Pritchuk seems pretty safe versus Collier. The Polish driver versus the British driver, finding their way up to turn 6. Any mistakes to be made here from either of them? No. It seems like they've gotten these F3 cars down pat. It's taken a bit for some of these drivers to get used to this machinery, but once they have, it's been great to see what they're capable of.
Last week, Reese, Zippy was explaining that these guys at Almeida Racing Academy change cars every season and try to learn something new. So you never know who has the seat time in F3 when you start a season up like this, but they'll be switching cars, I think. You can correct me if I'm wrong, after this race to a new season, and we'll see what if the driving order changes as these guys continue to improve with their coaches.
For sure. Jan Jančík managed to get his car fixed, but unfortunately that's not the way back to the racetrack. So Jančík will stay in the pits for the time being. Maybe wanted to explore the paddock at Road America a little bit. I'll save you some effort, Jan. Unfortunately, there isn't much to see out there. But we'll move through to the last 5.5 minutes here. I'm amazed that the drivers have been able to push it this long, but I suppose it makes sense, considering that we saw our first raft of pitters at the end of the first or second lap. Should probably be coming in for their stops at the end of this lap. If they can push it any further beyond this, I'd be very surprised.
especially VJ Rajasakar and Reese. I know that him and Ben Felsen were definitely using the fuel up in the beginning of the race, trying to sort themselves out for position 1 and 2. So we saw a little bit longer stop out of Ben Felsen, and we'll see if Rajasakar has the same result as Ben Felsen. Hopefully he can keep his pit time down, and he's been able to save some fuel. But with him pushing the pace and building that gap over the beginning of the first half of the race, I don't know if his pit stop is going to be as short as some of these other guys, unfortunately.
Worth keeping an eye on those pit stop times, and Rajasekaran's made great use of the slipstream behind Garrett Lund here. If he does end up committing to the end of this lap, it's may very well be a new fastest lap of the race, but through the final corner they come. Now, do they angle towards pit lane? Oh, both of them do. And I would expect Branton Hung to do the same thing. Rajasekaran was pushing like mad out of the final corner there. They slow down for the pit speed limit all the way down to 72 kilometers per hour. Neither of them have a black flag to their name. They didn't speed in the pits. Connor Bell will duly move through to take the lead of the race as the second last lap begins.
Looks like Connor Bell and Brian Lockwood were able to move up into position 1 and 2. I'm still new to Almeida and still learning every time I join you guys, but I think you have to earn gold shiny cars like that. So I know that these coaches have put in the practice to earn them, and they're showing these guys that there's still more to learn at Road America in an F3 car.
Yeah, absolutely. The pit stop cycle's complete, and wow, pitting late was not the way to go. Garrett Lund and VJ Rajasekaran have come out in 6th and 7th place. Branton Hung in 8th. So I guess that's the other lesson to learn here. If you want a good race, you need to make sure that you get that pit stop out of the way early. And it's interesting to note as well, because VJ Rajasekaran has the quickest pit stop of everyone. The only pit box time under 4 seconds. Pretty significant there.
Yeah, it just goes to show you can't take anything for granted out here. Rajasakaran definitely has some good pace, but these guys are able to put consistent lap times down, and small mistakes can start to move that average lap time over the course of a race up very slowly. So these guys that were driving safe the whole time and putting down consistent laps seem to be able to make the most of their afternoon.
Yeah, the spin out of turn 5 certainly hurt VJ as well. I reckon if that hadn't happened, he'd probably be right here with Declan Marsden and Sammy Hendricks fighting for 3rd. So ifs, buts, you know, what might have beens. At the end of the day, it is only going to be a lap or so to go here. White flag in the air and waving for Connor Bell, who leads by 2.5 seconds over his fellow Almeida coach, Brian Lockwood. And they have altogether about 7.5 seconds over Sammy Hendricks, who keeps 3rd place across the line here, but wondering if Declan Marsden might try to mount a challenge here on the final lap. He's been following closely all race long, and this is going to be his last chance to grab a P3.
Absolutely, Reese. Even when you are teammates with the driver next to you, that checkered flag comes out and the blinders go on. I know these guys are racing for the last lap. Declan Marsden's been able to stay up under the wing for most of the race, but seems to have a small gap here to make up if he does want to try to make a move by the end of the last lap here.
Down to turn 5 for the final time. And Marsden is keeping the gap somewhat consistent here. Might need to be some extra pushing here in what is the quote-unquote slow section of this track. Flip on over to driver's right to widen out the turn-in for this left-hander. Beautifully done by the both of them, nice and clean. It's been a well-executed drive from Sammy Hendricks and Declan Marsden here today. And whoever of them finishes ahead, there will be a Team Blue car on the podium. Leon Benfelsen starting to catch up to them, though. He just pops into frame there as they make their way through the kink. got to wonder what the race would have been like for Leon if he had pitted early with the rest of them. But it is those who pitted early who have come out on top here today. And Connor Bell will take victory for Team Coach in the final race of the F3 season here at the Almeida Racing League. Perfectly executed, fast all race long, and sets the fastest lap on the final lap as well, dipping into the 157s. Brian Lockwood finishes in second, and Sammy Hendricks is going to do a bit of a photo finish there with Declan Marsden for P3. Ben Vilsen, Lund, and Rajasekaran rounding out your top 7 there, with Branson Hung, Mikhail Prechuk, and Simon Collier here. Almost side by side across the start-finish line, but not able to gain that final advantage. And Martin Visser will make it to the finish here, but he's still halfway around the lap. And once again, it's been a difficult end to the season for Visser. He finished down a few laps in race 1, and it seems the same case for race 2.
The blue team able to capitalize on that early pit stop, Reese. I honestly, I couldn't see that coming, but able to drive safe, drive as a team, make the most of every single lap in clean air. So I think lesson learned, pit stop and practiced strategy can be really lead you to the podium spots here, especially at Road America. It is one of those tracks that we talked about all race long where strategy can come into play with the long straights, fuel consumption, and a long pit cycle. So it's good to see a good result for Sammy Hendricks and Declan Marsden today. I'm very excited that their strategy paid off for them, and hopefully we'll get a couple of them in the booth here.
Yeah, he is hoping. Connor Bell takes victory, as he did earlier on at Calabogie in the real world in a stock car, as our good friend Richard Swindells points out. Brian Lockwood joins him on the podium with Sammy Hendricks. Declan Marsden and Leon Bentvelsen round out your top 5, with Garrett Lund and Vijay Rajasekaran 6th and 7th. Branson Hung, Mikhail Prechuk, and Simon Collier round out your top 10, with John Morandini, Andrew Calabrese, and Martin Visser being our last finishers on the lead lap. Jeremy Childers 1 lap down. Brian Lindsay, unfortunately, with a mechanical black flag. The case is the same for Yan Cheek. And Cairo Enns wasn't even able to make it past the start line, didn't go anywhere off the grid, and ended up getting involved with a few at the back. Well, this is going to bring things forward here into driver interview territory, and Sammy Hendricks is going to be the first driver to join us here. 3rd place in the final race of the season. Sammy, you must be happy with that, and a 4th in race 1.
Yeah, let's go. 4th? Who's first?
Oh, well, actually, yeah, that's going off the results after the coaches black flagged themselves. So, yeah, you did finish a little lower than that in race 1, but still a consistent drive.
Yeah, no, that was fun. A lot of bump drafting. Happy you guys were there to broadcast for us all season. A little plug-in for the ARA. Guys, I'm telling you, you don't want to be reliant on setup shops your whole life. If you really want to learn how to drive, if you want to find the limit, if you want to find your own lines, this is the place to be. It's the only place in the sim racing community that actually teaches you how to drive without other resources. So, if you want to be fast like Connor Bell, you know where to go. Come join the ARA.
Absolutely. Brilliant stuff. Yeah, indeed. Almeida Racing Academy. Make sure to check them out if you're interested in getting faster. Sammy, strong end to the season for you here at Road America. You look like you had some fun out there. Is there anyone else you want to thank or shout out?
The entirety of the blue team. These guys were great all season. Blue team all the way. Everything that's great is blue. Yeah, man. Just really great camaraderie this season. The teams are fantastic because you get into these little groups and you communicate and you have memes and you help each other out and you bump draft the whole race with each other. That's great. So there you go.
Fantastic stuff. Congratulations on the podium, Sammy, and we'll see you next season.
Great. See ya. Bye.
Well, Sammy Hendricks doesn't even give me a chance to drag him out. He leaves the server. Next up, we are going to have Leon Benfelsen joining us. And, well, Leon, it looked good for you there in race 1, but, at the start of race 2. But it seems like pitting early was the way to go.
Yeah, perhaps it was. I don't know. I messed up the refueling part again, so that cost me a lot of time. But yeah, nevertheless, great season.
Yeah, great season indeed. It seems you've really gelled with the Dallara F3.
Yeah, it took a while for me to get to grips with the car, get really good on the limit. But yeah, when I felt it, I kind of catched up again.
Yeah, that you did. And ultimately, still ending the season with another podium, second in race 1. Your form has been great since we switched to the F3s, and whatever the next season of the Almeida Racing League is, it's valuable experience that you've gained today, and you might be able to carry that forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope so. That would be great. No idea what the next season is going to be like, but yeah, really curious.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully we see you there. Morgan Smith will be chatting again very shortly. Actually, no, my apologies. Reading chat messages wrong. But Leon, thanks very much for joining us. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go? I'm sure your family's going to be in there.
Yeah, of course. Thanks to the family, of course, the Almeida Academy for doing a great job. And I wanted to thank Pit Road Productions for putting out these great podcasts. Great chat, how do you say? Working with the chat, really fun. And I hope to see you guys in the next season. Keep up the good work.
Yeah. Absolutely. You too, Leon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Well, Leon Benfelsen, we will say our goodbyes to, and, well, we will have a very quick chat to Vijay Rajasekar, and before we chat to Connor Bell to end things off, Vijay, you won race 1 at a trot, but unfortunately race 2 didn't quite go your way.
Yep, they didn't. I mean, Connor and Brian pitted way too early, or I mean, I don't know. I guess there's no such thing as way too early, but they're really quick, and they would have, you know, they were on track to undercut me, and I had to push really hard. And well, when you have to push really hard, that's what happens. But lap times were good. I should have just stuck with that, but then I tried to squeeze a 10th or 10th and a half more and spun. So yeah, my mistake.
Well, regardless, you still come away with a solid finish for the season. The Dallara Formula 3 seems to have gelled with you, much like it did Leon Benfelsen. So some more things to learn, some more things to carry through to the next season of the league.
Definitely. I'm this track highlighted a lot of weaknesses in my driving, and definitely have to work on those. Yep.
Yeah, for sure, but still can be very happy with your performances this season. A few wins on the trot, VJ. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I mean everyone. Just amazing. It's an amazing experience, to be honest. Love racing with everyone. It's just, yeah, the environment is really something, and thanks to Suelio and all the coaches for creating it. We wouldn't be able to, learn as quickly if it weren't for them. So yeah, I'd say, yep, that's it.
All right, thanks very much, VJ. Hope to catch you next season.
Yeah, see.
All right, Vijay Rajasekaran will leave us and celebrate his numerous victories throughout the season. The man who most recently finished on top is with us now, Connor Bell. You won the Canada 150 more recently in the real world, Connor, and looks like you've translated some of that into the F3 at Road America too.
Yeah. Hey guys. First off, thanks for the amazing broadcasts the whole season. It's been a really good show for everybody watching. But yeah, racing was fun today. Really a big draft track, as I'm sure you guys spoke about on the broadcast. So there was quite a bit of strategy for sure. Me and Brian decided to pit relatively early to avoid some battles out on track and just go for some clean air, and it worked out well.
Yeah, certainly did. The final round of the season showing just how far these drivers have come in the Dallara F3. Are there any hints you can give us as to what's next for the Almeida Racing League?
I don't want to give anything away too much, but we'll go with Zippy likes one of the cars, so we'll go with that. Or the car.
Okay. Very nice, very nice. Okay, he'll be hyped to hear that. And I'm certainly hyped for the next season to start up, Connor. We want to thank you guys for bringing us on to broadcast these races once again. It's been a great journey to share with you guys, and here's to more successes to come.
Yeah, thank you very much. For anybody interested in joining us here for the league, all the weekly events, the workshops, pit parties, official practices, challenges, everything, go to the Almeida Racing Academy.com. You can find all the info there for the membership and join us every weekend for these very, very fun, competitive races that also come with an excellent learning environment. So hopefully we'll see you guys there.
Hopefully we will. Thanks for joining us, Connor. And once again, congratulations on the Calabogie Stock Car win.
Thank you, guys.
All right. That's going to round things off here, Morgan. That is the last that we will hear from the Almeida Racing League before it starts up again for its next season. And a very nice way to finish indeed. Some good racing at Road America in the F3. Well, that is going to round things off for this final round of the championship. And if you were missing Daniel Zippy Salmon this race, he's not feeling too good at the moment. Some health issues affecting him at the moment. So give all of your best to Zippy, and he'll be right back and ready with us when next season starts up. For now, though, I'm Reese Gardner. Morgan Smith joined me in the comms box for this round, and Rob Campbell produced behind the scenes here on Pit Road Productions. A huge thanks to everybody at the Almeida Racing Academy, as well as Swelio Almeida himself, for giving us this great opportunity. Thank you to everyone in the chat for supporting your favorite drivers and exchanging with us, and we hope to see you again very, very soon.
The Almeida Racing League is growing fast. Hundreds of drivers, multiple splits, broadcasted races, and it's not just about individual winning, it's a team championship. You race with your own squad, you learn how to compete, and you grow together. And we don't throw you into the races blindly. Every week, we help you prepare with pit parties to train side-by-side battles, workshops with live coaching, 20 driving challenges with full tutorials, and even group raids into official iRacing races after the league night. For just $25 a month, this is the most complete training experience in sim racing. Join us as a member today to start your advanced training and racing with us. I'll see you on track.